Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 7 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Oye, mi gente. So, today with us we have, look, he's an actor. Sure, he's an actor. But before he's an actor, he's a Miami boy. He was one of the first people that we started engaging with on social media when we started this crazy podcast thing. And it is the immense of levels of joy that I have talking to him and seeing his success and career growth from those initial, just like, bro, I love your stuff. I like your stuff. And here we are actually having him on the show. I want to welcome, Christian Ochoa Lavernia. Dude, I feel like it's been such a damn long time coming to have you on the show. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. The pleasure is mine. I love you guys. It's like being away from Miami all the time, and I haven't lived in Miami since 2013. Like, I love to follow and I love engaging with people that bring me a slice of home, and you guys do that to the umpteenth power. So I feel like when I watch you guys, I'm back home, con mi gente,
Yeah, well, we carry our culture with us wherever we go, and I know you've been working a shit ton, which is a blessing, bro. You are, what's they say, hashtag booked and blessed, it's
hashtag booked and blessed. Actors life, hashtag actors life.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to take it back. And first of all, I just want to say, doing a little research on you, found out that you and I, a couple years apart, just a couple, you're only slightly younger than me, but we almost have the same birthday. You're the
When's your birthday?
I'm August 6th.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my dad's birthday.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
My best friend's the 8th. I have a bunch of Leos all over.
Yeah. So I think we're either going to really get along in this interview, or it's going to turn into like a battle royale for superiority. I don't know how it's going to end by the time this conversation.
For attention?
Yes. Well, in that case,
I got super tranquilo. I'm Virgo rising.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm a chill Leo. Leo, you're good.
Well, you're an actor, so you've already beat me in terms of the fighting for attention. Like that's a given. But no, so I was looking, and look, I always preface this by saying I find all this information online, and God knows if it's right or not. But your IMDb page does say that you actually studied political science, and then the favorite that we love to bring up here on this show with Cuban parents, a business administration. Is that true?
I did. Yeah, at FIU. So I did theater growing up a bunch, and then I had to, in high school, I had to make a decision. I was doing drama and I was playing baseball, and they made me, and you can't do both. This is when you got to choose one. At that point of my life, I was an athlete. I'm like, no, baseball it is. I go to college, and I had it, drama had been something I had a passion for and loved, but I couldn't really commit to it unless it was like little skits here and there at school, So
what
when
school
I got
did you go to? We always
university,
ask.
I'm like, okay, I got to do it. Felix Varela. I was the first class of Felix Varela. Like the first year it opened was my freshman year of high school, and then all the way through. The official first class of Varela, which is in Kendall.
Yep.
And I'm the official class of Howard Doolin middle school too. First year was my 6th grade year. So like my middle school, high school were like brand new schools. So like we set the tone. So I went to Varela, and then I went to FIU, the sensible thing, like, grew up single mom. I'm like, okay, I can't, fantasies are fantasies, but I got to get to work. So I did political science with the idea that I was going to be a lawyer. And then when time came around, do I go to law school? Do I do my LSAT? And I started taking the exams for it. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. And then, of course, like, you're like, MBA, I got to keep going to school because, of course, back home, in the U.S., it's like, I got to keep on getting into debt so that I can have a future. So then I went to get my MBA. So I got my international MBA at FIU. Back when 2011, 2010, something like that. Which, was basically getting your master's and learning how to use Microsoft Excel. Is what I thought it was. It was one of those things, and I still didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to do. I had a great job at the time. I was working for a construction company doing business development, and I was on the field. It was really cool, but it wasn't my thing. And it wasn't until I moved for that job back in 2011, 2012-ish, where I was like, I would go to the movies. I lived in Cleveland, Tennessee. There was nothing to do other than go to the movies.
I
Go to
didn't know there
Walmart.
was a Cleveland in Tennessee.
Right, exactly. So it's pretty close to Chattanooga. Exactly. Small town, nothing to do. You go to Walmart, the Mexican restaurant, you play golf, or you go to the movies. I un Publi like 30 minutes away, so sometimes I go get my Publi sub fix, you know. And that was not all the time. There was a Kroger there, which is like their little supermarket. I don't know if you know Kroger.
I do know Kroger, yes.
So I go to the Kroger, pero Publi on special occasions, and then yeah, I would go to the movies and I would watch them, and I was like, why didn't I ever do that? You know, that's what I always fantasize about. Like that's what I always, when I go jogging or I'm ever daydreaming, it's about being in a movie. That's where I really, you know, I think I excelled. I made people laugh when I was growing up. I made my whole family laugh. So that's kind of what made the turn. I go, you know what? I'm going back home. Forget the degrees. Forget everything. I'm going back home, and I'm gonna do this right. Study improv classes, whatever it is I have to do. You know, I'm gonna do.
Wow, so
That's how I started.
What I love about this story though is that you essentially like, again, we always joke on this on our show that, you know, whenever we talk to actors, especially Latino actors, especially Cuban American actors, that, you know, being an actor is just not a thing you propose to your immigrant family, right? Like it's like, you know, we didn't come to this country para que tú te metas artista, right? You have to, and again, I love the fact that you actually got your master's in, you know, business administration, because it's like, you know, tienes que estudiar algo, you know.
Exactly. That's why.
But I love the fact that you were like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I did it, and I had a job, and I was doing well. It almost seems to me like you were saying to your parents, it's like, look, I gave it a shot doing it your way. Now I got to figure out my path.
Well, you know, it's funny. It wasn't even so much my mom, because I was raised just by my mom, single mom, and she's awesome. She's my best friend. She's my biggest supporter. And I think it was more my grandparents came with that idea. And my abuelo was always, he's passed now, que para descanse, you know, and as they always say, pero he was more like, I guess, dentista, doctor, and all that stuff. And that was that whole, you know, single parent Cuban household, like, oh no, I gotta go to work y meterme los horas y trabajar y coger esto. But my mom was super encouraging always. Like, she had a dream of being an actor when she was a kid, but she's like the first generation coming from Cuba. I was the first generation born in the U.S.
Okay.
Two immigrant parents, and my mom had that dream that, of course, her parents were like, bro, what are you talking about? No,
not good.
Get married young, you know, like we all did. But my mom was so supportive to me. So when the night that I got home, I went to go see Mission Impossible, whichever one came out, 2011, 2012. And I went to go see it, and I drove home, and I go, shit, I should have done that, man. Like, why did I just not do it? You know, I guess I always worried about what everybody else thought, as those Cubans kids do. Like, what was my family going to think? What are the people around me going to think? That I'm going to just, you know, I went to school, I spent all this money, and all of a sudden I'm going to be an actor. But I call my mom and I go, what's the one thing you said I should have always done in my life? And she goes, be an actor. I go, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move back home, and I'm going to figure it out. Right. And that's what I did. I went back home. And the first person I call after my mom she's another actress. She went to ABC, Archbishop Carroll, Miami girl. She's a huge actress now. Her name is Amy Carrero.
I love Amy Carrero. I actually would. I'm trying to see if we can figure out how to get her on the show. I adore her.
She's amazing. She's so her and I at FIU, we were in a thing called Model UN, Model United Nations. I don't know if you've heard of Model UN before. It's like mock Model UN, and you go compete in Harvard, and FIU kills at that. Like, it's one of the best in the nation. And I did it for 2 years, and then I was in charge of the program for one. This is like my political science days.
Damn, son.
So I was like faculty advisor. We won. It was amazing. And Amy and I did it together my second year. So her and I were super close. But at this point, when I had made this decision in my life, she had already moved to LA. She had been already acting. She was on the show Young and Hungry,
which I fucking love.
Yeah, she's incredible. It's so funny. So I call her. And I'm like, Amy, I want to do this. What do I do? And she's like, there's like a million ways to do it. And what I'm going to tell you doesn't mean it's going to work. Doesn't mean like if you follow these steps, you will be an actor. But I think these are your best steps forward. And I did exactly what she told me to do, like to the T. Like, I went to get the agent, headshots first, do classes, find an agent, esto lo otro. Fast forward, I remember her saying when I finally moved to LA and we had dinner, she goes, you know, a lot of people have asked me how to be an actor and how to do it. And I've sort of given them the same advice I gave you. She's like, everyone that's done it, like you did it, and like she's like, look, here you are, like you kind of, you know, you started off. So that was really nice, and Amy was amazing for extending that sort of helping hand and advice, and she's so I always thank her, and I always give her a lot of props because I feel like she was so helpful in the beginning. You need that in the beginning when you start acting.
Yeah.
You know, you need that. You need somebody to give you a helping hand, you know?
No, that makes total sense. And, you know, also this is a great ad for the Amy Carrero School of Acting that apparently you're going to start for her because but it's great to have that, right? It's like, it's those people that you feel comfortable with. And it's funny because I think, again, as a fellow Leo, we don't always want to take other people's advice because we know what we're doing.
We know it all.
Right? We know what we're doing. But I think that when we do take someone's advice, that says a lot about that person. Because that means we
100%.
trust them.
1,000%.
And it
1,000%.
absolutely, you know, wound up being the case with you. So I will tell you, one of the first things that I, you know, especially after we had connected, as you know, from the podcast and all that, initially way back when, one of the first things that I saw you in was actually an episode of Will and Grace.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I remember distinctly seeing you in that episode and DMing you afterwards to thank you. You know, to thank you for just the way you played that part. You had to do everything. You know, it was a sitcom, so obviously you had to be funny. But you know, the storyline, if I remember it correctly, was, you know, a closeted ball player, and you know, you played your scenes against Eric McCormick, and again, you know, as a gay Cuban American from Miami, I want to thank you for that because I felt I knew who you were. I understood you. I've known that person, and you know, you managed to communicate it in a way that just felt authentic to me. And I say that because it's like, I know where you come from. I know, you know, I know your background, right, as Christian, but I also know what it is to be that person. And if you did not do it, I'm not going to lie, I probably would have felt more disappointed than if anybody else had not been able to land it. So thank you for that.
No, I you know, that was, to me, it's always so important. There's people who say they're allies, you know, and they're like, yeah, I support, but I think if you're going to be an ally to the LGBT community, and I'm not, I'm straight cis male. Right. I feel it's important for if you're going to ally, to do it right and to really represent your fellow LGBTQ friends, right? So for me, when I saw that role, I jumped up and down because I know that person just like you do as well, because we come from a very kind of like machismo background, right? Like my grandfather was a saint. He was the nicest man in the world, but he came from that background where, no seas así porque, you know, no sea un poquito, you know, tranquilo. It's like,
no se mariquita. Like, I mean, let's you know,
exactly.
let's use the word.
No sea mariquita. To me, it's like, I know who that person is so well. So to me, it was important, and also to play it against the stereotype of what TV kind of portrays as a gay man. You know, like I felt like there was a sense of him that was sort of was guarding this secret. And he played this machismo role because that's who his dad wanted to be, and he explained it. But it was super, you know, it was very intimate, those scenes. Believe it or not, there was the funniness to it. But I think the humor wasn't so much in like trying to play for the humor. It was just like him kind of being raised being a dude and not knowing how to be a gay guy, you know, and Eric saying, you got so much to learn, you know, like he's like, I am so jealous of you. So to me, you know, that's not the first gay character I played. I played a gay character on Glow. I played a gay character, obviously, Will and Grace. Oh my God, there's more. And then, we'll get into it on Halo. I'm playing another gay character named Danilo, and that's such a beautiful story too. And I think that it's another character that's against the stereotype of a gay man. He's just a real incredibly kind, healing person. So I think it's important not just for, you know, if you have the opportunity as I think as a straight man to play a role like that and play it correctly and almost like give voice to your LGBTQ friends. Like my younger brother's, he's a gay man. He's married, and to me, like I feel so much pride when I can play these roles, and he can watch them and be like, that's my bro, like representing. Like I think that's important to me. It's always been about human rights and being consistent with just being a good fucking human.
What a notion, right? What a concept.
What a notion. Just like fucking everyone has the right to be happy and do what makes them happy. So that's just sort of my baseline for life. And if I can do that in a role, and if I can play roles that kind of represent the underrepresented, I mean, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when we're going to get into, but I just want to mention, a couple episodes ago, I interviewed ABC anchor Gio Benitez, also a Miami boy. He's GMA.
Yeah.
And
he's awesome.
And him and I talked about how we should start like Westchester Pride. We if you listen to the interview, we routed the whole parade route. So I think, based on this conversation, you will be the second year's Grand Marshal. Clearly Gio's got to be the first, how those anchors.
No,
but I think,
absolutely.
yes, you'll be the second. So I'm going to pencil you in right now. But no, again, you've done so much. Will and Grace, you did Dynasty, which I watched as well. You were Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm a total nerdy fanboy. What I do love is that you were saying earlier in high school you picked, baseball over drama, and yet you were, you play a ball player in Will and Grace. On pitch, you were also another ball player. So, you might have actually made the right choice at that moment to give you this, this insight, right?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, because I felt like there was a part of me that didn't go on to play baseball. So there was a part of me that always that felt like, that missed opportunity and like the what if of like, had I gone on and made it and done whatnot. But it's so funny, through my acting career, it's like not only did I get to play a ball player, but I got to play a Cuban ball player that was a catcher, and that's what my position was. First time that a TV show ever had licensing to do actual Major League Baseball. So we were the San Diego Padres. My uniform was San Diego Padres. We played at Dodger Stadium. We at AT&T Park in San Francisco. We went, where else did we go? Oh, the Padres Stadium in San Diego. So like we were an actual team. So it's like when I was out there, I was wearing the uniform. I was taking batting practice on the field. I was like, when you see anything of us on the field throwing, that's us, like literally us, Mark Paul Gosselaar too, Zach Morris, our guy. Like everybody was legit. So to me, it's like, it was unbelievable that I was able to like kill with Stone. Like I didn't make it to the majors, but I did in some way, So that was absolutely incredible. And again, just like Hector and Will and Grace, I knew that man. And Livan Duarte, I knew that man. Like, how many stories do I have growing up in Miami? And he's there. Those are my cousins. I had cousins that came over on a tire. Like I knew that man. So to me, that was so important that I was cast. And what I'm going to do really quick, I'm going to segue if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to give props to another guy that you should get on your show, who's one of my closest friends, Jason Canela. He's another Miami Cuban actor. His brother's Giancarlo.
Yep. Another guy that we're trying to get. Yep.
Jason is the man. I'll talk to Jason. I'll tell him, hey, oye, vaya a poner las pilas. Jason, I'm going to say this story as quick as possible, because we always do when we have a chance to, because it's a beautiful story. But I had seen Jason in LA, and he's like, I was walking my dogs, and he stops the car. I didn't know him, but he stops the car. He's like, hey, you from Miami? I go, yeah. He's like, yeah, me too. He's like, you used to work at an eating house? I go, yeah, I opened up the eating house with my friends. He's like, bro, I used to take girls on dates there all the time. And whatever, we exchanged numbers. We didn't call each other for a year. Typical Miami guys. But then I'm walking into an audition when it was for a Cuban role, wearing una guayabera, and he goes, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, whatever. So before we go in, he goes, hey, are you going in for that pitch role for the catcher? He's like, dude, that's you, bro. That's you. You're the guy. I go, no, I haven't heard of it. He's like, tell your team, tell your manager, tell your agents. So I call him, I go, listen, this role of on Duarte, esto lo otro. And they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna call. Within like the hour or two, I get the audition for the next day. I go into the audition the next day. Susan Vosh is a casting director, and she goes, "Oh, you're Christian." I go, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Your buddy was in here yesterday, Jason Canella." She goes, "He could not stop talking." He's like, "I got the guy for you. I have the guy that's perfect for this role." And she's like, "But like you're auditioning for this role." He's like, "Yeah, I know, but this guy is the guy." Nobody does that. Like everybody fights for roles. Nobody calls each other and says, "Hey, there's something for you," because there's this like. That's what I didn't like about LA. You know, it's really everybody's in the industry and there's a lot of mal de ojo. You know, like you can't do well because then your friends are gonna get But Jason's not that guy, and he's in an audition room when he just moved to LA too. He's not like he wasn't at the point in his career where he was like that guy can have that job. No, he needed jobs too, and he was telling this casting director book him. So when I went in, they called me for a callback, and me, Jason, and some other dude got a callback. I got the role. Jason's manager, I don't know who called him and said, "Did you go to your audition and say book that guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What? Why? He got the job." And he's like, "Great." And they got mad at him. And he's like, "Look, if you don't like the way I do my stuff, that's how I am. Like, if there's a space for everybody in this industry." That's Jason's way of thinking. Anyway, long story short, they gave him a role in the show. As well. Even after that, they gave him a role. They're like, no, we want you to be on the show, and they gave him a really cool part. So Jason is the man for doing that. But let me tell you, not everybody does that, and I think there's this connection of the Miami Cubano, like that we have that sort of that esa energía that like somos buena gente. Like we want to do what's right for nuestro compadre, right? Like, dude, no, you're that guy, and Jason and I have done that throughout our relationship. And I just wanted to say this story because I think it's so important to know that how important that is, man, to support each other,
You know what?
And he did.
We've always said that like Miami is very much a small town disguised as a big city, right? And based on your stories, that's what I'm seeing is that we're not just saying it; it's actually true. But also, the fact that this is your interview and you've taken the moment to give props to literally two other people, to me says a lot about who you are. And again, I'm going to reiterate this as a fellow Leo. We don't just give flowers to everybody. Like it's not about other people, right? But to me, that honestly speaks volumes about how you were raised and who you are. Because I mean, let's talk brass tacks, right? This is an interview to promote, your projects, et cetera, and so on, right? I mean, that's what it is. But you have literally been like, no, I'm going to segue now to literally talk about how awesome these two other people are. And I have a feeling that as we continue, you're going to segue again to talk about like 6 other people who are awesome too.
Probably again. You know what? I had no idea this interview was about promotion. I thought we were gonna talk about, in Miami, where would you get your pedas? And the answer is Islas Canarias, because I live like in Miami. That's where my family lives, right by Islas Canarias on 137 in Coral Way. I thought we were gonna talk about the Miami experience, so for sure I'll promote myself. No, but I'm here for good times, bro. Whatever. I'm here for good times.
No. I hear you. Also, have you, now that because you brought it up, have you been to the new eating house?
No, I haven't because I really haven't gone down there in a while. Like I haven't been in Miami to just be tranquilo and hang out and stuff like that. Like those are still my guys. Alex Casanova, who's one of the founders, and he's been there since the beginning. There's Giorgio and Alex. Those are the two. Giorgio's the chef, and Alex is sort of the business manager, if you will. We caught up in London. We got up in London, like he was there and I was there and it was awesome. And I love those guys, but I haven't been. My sister's been, she loves it. But no, I'm dying to go because like I started off from the very get-go of Eating House. That was when I moved from that construction job to Miami. I quit everything, and Giorgio was my big brother in my fraternity at FIU. Okay. So I reached out to him. I go, I'm starting acting. I need a restaurant job so I can have my days free to audition. He's like, well, dude, I just opened up a little pop-up restaurant called Eating House. And they were like 2-3 weeks in. And I go in and I got a job. And then from the get-go, from like literally when we were a pop-up, there was 3-hour wait outside. we would come in, we would put the artwork on the wall. Our water that we would give the guests was out of like one of those yellow and red igloo coolers that in the middle of service, sweating and papao, I have to go put ice and water in the back. Like we started like grassroots from the ground up, crazy. And then we bought it out, remodeled it. So I was there for the first 2.5 years until I moved to LA. So I would love to go see what they've done because like it's incredible the growth of those guys.
Yeah, no. I mean, the new eating house. I will say this, and it's gonna sound like a backhanded compliment, but go with me. The new eating house is great. It's great. I mean, the food is delicious, obviously, because you've got a hell of a chef. I mean, it's not like the food can never not be good, right?
Right.
But to me, it's not eating house. It's because I literally live like a block away from the old eating house.
I know.
And so
Yeah.
I miss that like cozy vibe, that like
It was cozy. It was
know,
so cozy.
like this
And
now.
it was really, yeah, it was done in a way that it was funny because you get the best Yelp like reviews, and then there were some Yelp reviews that were like it was great, whatever, and it's like but she's like the staff is really young and they're like constantly laughing, whatever, and I was like yeah, because we were a bunch of friends.
But that was awesome.
We were a bunch of friends. We were young. I was like 24. Giorgio was like 26. So was Alex. So we built this thing to, what we would do? We would finish service at the end of the night and stay there for another 2, 3, 4 hours playing FIFA, hanging out. Like it was such a family unit. And I get it, but I understand you have to grow. You can't. The eating house had the old location. It wasn't very large, and I remember forever they didn't have a liquor license, so it was just beer and wine. You want to grow, you want to do other things, and so it's as Giorgio and Alex are growing up, Eating House grew up with them. So that I'm sort of proud of. But like, yeah, like I've seen pictures and the place looks beautiful, looks incredible. But yeah, like I have so many memories in the old spot with like the Tetris wall, and then they had like Dwayne Wade figurines and Jordans and otro. Like it was like it was a really cozy feel.
Yeah, we did. We did January 1st brunch a good 3 years in a row there. Because again, I live like a block away from the old spot, so it was like, all right, it's right over there. We can get there a little later. It'll be fine. No craziness. So I do miss it. But speaking of growing up, your career has also been da pena how much it's grown. Okay, like honestly, like save some success for other people, sir. Okay, shit, you were just last year you were in a Guy Ritchie movie, The Covenant.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. And now you've got another Guy Ritchie movie, on the horizon again with Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Jake's been talking to Jason, and now they're just both recommending you for things, right? I'm assuming.
I would hope that's what it is. No, but I got super lucky with The Covenant that I got that because number one, Guy Ritchie's been one of my favorite directors since day one. I used to walk around FIU and study in the Green Library with listening to the Snatch soundtrack. So like. It's sort of funny when people talk about manifestation and how you do it purposefully. And I think sometimes you can do it without even realizing it. Because at the time that I would watch Snatch and watch all his movies, and I was a real cinephobe, I had no idea that I was going to go into acting. And when I listened to the Snatch soundtrack, I would imagine myself in these movies. And then fast forward 13, 14 years, like I'm in where was it? Alicante, Spain, shooting a Guy Ritchie movie. And having these incredible moments on set with Jake Gyllenhaal, another actor I've admired my whole life. And you're having moments where guys coming up to you and say, you know what, fucking say it like this and say that, and then just fuck off. He just come up with a line on the spot, and then boom, you'd have a scene. And I'm like, you have these moments where I think when you're starting off acting, you're like dreaming to get to those spots, and you get there and you sort of have to, you want to be your best. And it's not so much like, oh my God, I'm here, but you're just like, fuck it, I'm here. Let's do this. Let's be the best we can be, and let's be on point and awesome. And then once it's over, you're like, oh my God, I just did that. I worked with Guy Ritchie, and then to be asked to come back and do another film with him, and this time it was with Jake Gyllenhaal, Henry Cavill, and Asa Gonzalez. I mean, 3 megastars. And oh my God, what's her name? I love her, and she's incredible. Did you see Saltburn?
Yes, I did.
The mother.
Rosamund Pike,
who who's in it. She's amazing. I mean, it was just incredible to do it again. So it's like just every day I pinch myself when I think about it, and just like I'm super grateful. But I think there is power in manifesting your reality and what you want. And of course, not everything's always going to go your way, depending on la luna y la estrella, you know. But I think when you put like action and like real positive manifestation and thought, and I think a part of that is not just wishing it for yourself, but everyone around you, you know, like like Jason said that time, what he said to the casting director, and what he told his agents, he's like, there's room for everyone, you know.
Right.
This morning I had a chat with my buddy, another Miami actor you got to talk to, Alex Barrios. We went to middle school together too, and he was on the new show Griselda. And we were talking about that, and we were always championing each other. And I think when you have purposeful manifestation about what you want, these things can happen. I think, and that's really taught me to sort of the power and really kind of seeing yourself there before you're even there. And I feel that's how the Guy Richie thing happened, because like I had sort of dreamed of it even before I was acting, and there I was. So that movie comes out hopefully at the end of this year, the new one that I did. That was another great time, and it was fun. I got to like have a whole character look, completely grew a ginormous beard, shaved my head. It was awesome. It was just such a fun time, man.
You know, I want to ask you something, because again, I do very minimal prep for these interviews, and then as we're talking, the questions start to come to me.
Yeah.
You know, you seem like a very positive person, which I fucking love, right? Like I don't think you can be a successful person in any category being negative. I just don't think that's possible, right? I mean, sometimes you can fail upwards, but I don't think that's possible. But I do want to ask you though, you know, again, as a Miami kid, right? You know, Cuban American, and you know, Guy Ritchie sets, and now, you know, Halo. I mean, these are you know, Jake Gyllenhaal, budgets, names, etc. You know, do you ever feel that you know, that cliched imposter syndrome? You know,
I was about to say, are you talking about imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think every time. I think because like,
how do you overcome it? I guess the follow up would be that, you know.
I think there is imposter syndrome because it's sort of like, you know, but I think a lot of it too is whenever you get successful in something like that and you get something really good, you're sort of like, am I supposed to be here? But it's not so much myself. It's because I feel like that's what the industry has made Latinos feel like.
Okay.
Like, I feel like my whole beef with the industry is like, for so many years, the only auditions I would get was to be Miguel or Carlo, the narcos drug dealer henchman, or like the pool boy, sort of like these minimal roles. America Ferrera spoke about it, like in one of her speeches, which I think was incredible. And you have this feeling of like, I grew up watching movies with my grandpa because he moved from Cuba, and that's how he learned to speak English, right? A big part of it. So we would watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. We would watch, Mel Gibson on the Lethal Weapons. So you grow up in Miami, which I think growing up in Miami is beautiful because you don't grow up thinking you're the other.
Right.
It's you grow up as a Latino, which you're Cuban, Colombian, whatever, it doesn't matter. We all celebrate it in Miami. And you grow up like, no, I'm American. I happen to be Cuban. And when you move out of Miami, you realize in LA, I'm like, oh my God, I moved there when I was 27. I'm like, it was my first time. And luckily to say this, because a lot of people feel it from a youth. That was the first time I felt what like racism felt like what being the other felt like.
Yeah, you were othered.
Second class citizen. And I was like, holy shit. Like the first 6 months of LA, and I started working at a restaurant, I was like, decaído. Like every day I'd come home from work, like fucking A. And so like I grew thick skin, which you have to do. And you learn how to deal with it. But that's my gripe with the industry is that, it's so hard to see myself. Now I'm seeing it more and more with Pedro Pascal, Oscar Isaac. These guys are, so many people paved the way before them, but they're sort of this new Hollywood star that are Latino, that speak Spanish, that you could see yourself in those roles.
And they're celebrated for being that.
Yeah, they're celebrated. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like that to me pumps me up. Like I'm like, oh, I could be a Pedro Pascal, you know, like I can be those kind of characters. But I think sometimes when you get to these certain roles, it almost like I don't feel like I haven't deserved it or haven't worked hard to be there, but almost like yeah, I feel like the industry itself has made me feel like, am I supposed to be here? But then that's a quick moment and just like, you know, fuck it, go with it. Like just use that power, use the energy, and use the momentum to get the next thing. But I think I think all the time you're just sort of a lot of it's, you know, you could be talented. There's so many talented people out there, and there's so many talented people that quit because it's hard, and you're like, you know what, like I just can't keep on, and it's hard. There's moments where you're just like, Jesus, I got all these callbacks. I was on hold for weeks for this job, and then I get called, and then you know you don't get it, and you're like, it's very exhausting. It's sort of, but it is the life you choose when you choose to do it. But there's moments. Say again.
Nadie te engañó. Like you know this.
Exactly. You know it. You know what it is, and it can get tough. But I think the imposter syndrome sometimes it's just so much more like, God, I'm so lucky I got this role. Like, because I know that there's so many people that could have gotten it, and I got it. So you just have to like celebrate the wins, man, and not get caught up on like what you didn't get, what you could have gotten. Celebrate the wins. You know, those are important.
Yeah. So you know, in talking about celebrating, let's talk about, you know, as of the airing of this episode, Halo Season 2 will have started.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that even in a post-future apocalyptic thing, there's still Latinos. You know, our culture was not stamped out by the bug creatures in Halo. That's nice. You know, again, Cubans, we are the Latino roaches. We're everywhere. So good luck, space creatures. But, you know, so, I mean, everything you've done so far has felt a little more, you know, grounded in reality. And now you're in Halo, which is, you know, it's a huge hit. It's on Paramount Plus, and it is a CGI extravaganza, right? Like,
yeah, it's unreal.
What is that? Like, how does that wrap in your head, right? After going from, you know, Guy Ritchie's known for very grounded in reality movies, right? Like, let's just use that as the example. And now you're standing on a green screen, I'd imagine, for most of the day.
Yeah, well, that Halo and Silo. And
Silo,
both.
that's
I'm doing
right.
I have two that are like super CGI. But what's cool about Halo, what I'll say, there is a lot of green screen, obviously, because aliens, you know, whether they exist or not, they're not on the show.
Yeah,
it's not SAG act.
It's not the ones that were at Bayside a couple months ago.
No, not those.
Not
No.
those.
These are unionized. They're a part of SAG. No, it's incredible. But what was really cool is that as much as there is CGI, they use a lot of practical effects, like the explosions and things like that are real. Like you're in the, like there's a war going on and you see stuff flying by and shrapnel and stuff. I mean, that's real. So it kind of, when you're shooting it, does help you with the reality of the situation. It's not like you're like, oh, wow, no, you're getting hit by stuff. So that was immensely cool, and sort of same thing with Silo. I will say, in Halo, the character I play is more grounded to Earth, and I think a very beautifully grounded character, who has a beautiful relationship.
You mentioned it's a gay character again, which is again why you're going to be the second Grand Marshal of the Westchester Pride Parade.
There you go. Just based on my characters alone, I love it. Yeah, no, it's a gay character. He's a healer. He's very grounding, and he sort of has helped. You know, I won't get too far into it, but he's kind of sort of helped one of these soldiers along the way, and he's trying to help them, but from a very kind of spiritual level. You know, these Spartans on the show, they're like, you know, man-made machines, and everything is sort of poking and prodding and taking all these things, but he comes from a very spiritual place of healing. So it's sort of beautiful. So although it is crazy CGI and a sci-fi, that character is really grounded in reality, and I love that. Whereas Silo, it's completely a sci-fi. It's completely a thriller sci-fi. The characters believe in the world they're in, and that's actually really, really cool. Because that one I get to play a total character, and I think I like that so much more. I think when I can hear my own voice and feel like myself, I'm like, what am I doing? Like I don't want to play Christian Ochoa like on screen. I want to play like un raro, like something, you know, something to get. that's fun for me. But yeah, it's really unique and interesting, man.
Yeah, I'm just loving the fact that, based on what you're saying, I'm just gonna say it. There's Babalaos in Halo. Is based on what you're based on what you're telling me about your character. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's tremendo babalao. He's un padrino. You just go to him for whatever you need. You need some agua bendita. You need some caracoles. Whatever he's got. Un pollito back.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what Halo's version of a botanica would look like, but it's a lot of essential oils. I'm
It's
thinking.
really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I won't spoil, but it's really cool.
I love it. I just wanted to bring something up really quick because you brought up Pedro Pascal, and again on your IMDb, and it could be wrong. I mean, I don't know what kind of like elves update these things sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But is it true that you did the voice for the Mandalorian in a pinball game?
Yeah, in a video at Star Wars Pinball. It has it's been going on for years and they always update it. And this was a new VR version of it.
Uh-huh.
And I did the voice of the Mandalorian. Yeah, I did.
All right.
That
So-
was me, super exciting because I love Star Wars.
As you
I
should,
love Pedro Pascal.
But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. So Pedro Pascal, you owe your career to Christian, because that pinball game came out before your show, and I'm going to charge you with basically copying what he's doing. Okay, come at me. This is I gotta stick up for my Miami boys. All right. So no.
Oh, I love that. But disclaimer, no, it was after it did come after season 1. I was copying him. I was trying to do my best, Pedro Pascal. Thank you for the backup and support, but I gotta keep it real.
You know what? No, my story's better. We're gonna go with that. Listen, we all know facts don't matter anymore. Reality's subjective. I'm just gonna put it out there, and we're gonna follow that narrative starting today.
Fuck it, I'm following it with you.
Oh yeah, man. Like you have so much going on, and I can't say this enough. One of the things that we love championing here is when Miami peeps do good,
Yeah,
whatever that falls
always.
under, right? And you're the epitome of that, man. Like I love. First of all, I love just kind of knowing you before we even met, quote unquote, right? Like via social.
Yeah.
You always just gave off good vibes. There was something about you that gave off good vibes, and now that I've talked to you, I get it. I see it. I know it's not.
Likewise.
I know it's not a PR team on socials, right? Like it's you. This is who you are, and to see your success, just there's a certain. I always say this about people who especially are from Miami. I feel like a certain like pride by proxy in seeing you succeed, because I know where you come from, right? You're like honestly, we're a couple years apart, but I could see us just having hung out at somebody's quinces, or or maybe I was at Eating House when you were the waiter, just something like that. Like you're
Probably was, yeah.
you're just somebody who I feel like could have just very easily been like my cousin, and so watching you succeed to the degree that you have is fucking awesome. And I know you're already succeeding, but I know there's still so much fucking more out there for you, and it's going to just keep happening.
Man.
Like I get it,
Fingers crossed.
No, but I don't have to. I don't have to cross my fingers for it, man. You've got a positive outlook. You're talented. But again, I go back to what I said earlier about the fact that we're here talking about you, and you took the opportunity to be like, no, let's stop for like 10 minutes now, so I can talk about how awesome other people are.
Always.
But those are the type of people who I feel make it in the long run in life. I mean, forget about the career. Like in life, you make it because you can't make it on your own. And you, bro.
And I've tried. I have done that. I've done that to a point sometimes. I mean, speaking honestly, where you kind of feel like you have to seclude yourself and you sort of have to feel like you got to do it on your own. And, but then, the older you get, you realize you're only as powerful as, the people around you. And, it's so important. I think it's so funny that you brought that up, that you pride by proxy. I don't know if it's a Miami thing specifically, but I feel there's something to that salsa de Miami people, that we do have such a pride for where we come from. I celebrate like every time I see someone from Miami balling out, whatever it is, like you said, I'm so happy. Like it makes me so happy to be a part of that culture. And likewise with you guys. Like I love seeing what you're doing and growth and keeping it real and talking about home and bringing back, like giving me that slice of home. It means the world to me.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Next time you're here, I know again, hashtag booked and blessed. I know you're working. You don't have a chance to come home, you know, a lo largo as you would like. Because I know I've lived away from Miami too. When you come con el tiempo contado, it's like boom, 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 boom. You're here for 3 days, and it's almost like scheduled within a minute of itself.
People tell me, they're like, listen, I won't tell anybody that you're here porque se ponen bravo. Oye, I have family members que se ponen bravo, encabronado conmigo, and I'm like, listen, I was for a couple days. I can't do. It's super, you know. And you know, a lot of it too is just I want to see my niece and my nephew, and I want to spend as much time with them, and that's what it is, really. I'm like, I don't want to take away from them, but yeah, no, we'll do it probably at Eating House.
Okay. All right, done.
Captain Crunch pancakes.
So, all right, so we're penciling in the Eating House brunch is what I'm hearing. All right, cool. And because you're former Eating House, I totally expect you to have some off-menu items that we can order that they would make just for you.
Yeah, for sure. If you know, if they don't have that calentado, I'm gonna demand that calentado. Like I have to have that. The oh my God, what did they used to have? El guayaba con queso torrejas. They used to have the torrejas.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they still do those.
So they do sometimes like they'll have like a throwback brunch menu, where they'll do some of those items sometimes. But yeah,
it's the best. I'll never forget the first brunch we did. At the end of it, we hadn't tried all the food. We hadn't tried it. We just kind of launched it. It was the first Sunday we ever did, and at the end, her name is Adriana Egosque. We call her Lip, and she was a chef. Her and Georgia. They cooked the whole staff everything on the menu. They made like 2 or 3 of each, like family style. Right. And we sat down to eat. I'll never forget the first time I tried the Captain Crunch pancakes. I'm like, this is like so good. I'm like, this is gonna be the one. Like it should be. It got super famous, and oh my God, I dream about those all the time. But that's what we'll do. No more dreaming. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna words into action.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Okay, again, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I mean, I had initially put, half an hour. We're almost at 50 minutes now, and that's not even including the pre-interview chat you and I had too. So, thank you so much for giving of your time.
Of course. Are you kidding me? Anytime, man. Anytime. Much love to you guys.
Thanks, brother. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.